Hello, everybody. Tonight we're going to talk about something most people don't want to look at. Not because it isn't real, not because once you see it, you can't unsee it. We're talking about ICE. We're talking about U.S. citizens being stopped, questioned, detained, and intimidated. We're talking about a system that hides its mistakes behind silence, confusion, and fear. And we're talking about why staying blind is the most dangerous thing any of us can do. So take a breath, settle in, because this conversation matters. Let's start with the truth. Not the myth, not the political spin, not the sanitized press releases. The truth is this. Across the country, U.S. citizens have been stopped, questioned, detained, and even injured during ICE operations. Not undocumented people, not immigrants, citizens. These aren't rumors, these aren't social media stories. These are documented incidents backed by lawsuits, news reports, and eyewitness accounts. In Illinois, the Attorney General filed a lawsuit describing ICE and Border Patrol agents detaining citizens and injuring residents with weapons. In Minnesota, citizens reported being followed, questioned, and intimidated during Operation Metro Surge. 2 U.S. citizens working at a Target store were arrested by ICE, sparking protests. And the ACLU filed a class action lawsuit accusing ICE of racial profiling, suspiciousness stops, and unconstitutional arrests, including citizens. This is not isolated. This is not accidental. This is a pattern. So, how does this happen? How does an agency whose job is to enforce immigration law end up detaining people who aren't even subject to immigration law? There are several reasons, and none of them are comforting. First, racial profiling. When enforcement is based on appearance instead of evidence, citizens become targets. Second, database errors. ICE's systems are notoriously inaccurate. If your name, birth date, or address is wrong in their files, you can be misidentified. Third, consensual encounters, a phrase ICE uses to describe interactions that are anything but consensual. Agents knock on doors, block cars, demand answers. Most people do not know that they can refuse. Fourth, large-scale operations. When thousands of agents flood a city, oversight collapses, mistakes multiply. And finally, lack of accountability. When citizens are wrongfully detained, ICE rarely faces consequences. Cases settle quietly, records disappear, the public never hears the full story. Now let's talk about the part that makes people uncomfortable, the cover-up. Because when ICE detains a citizen, they don't hold a press conference, they don't apologize, and they don't admit fault. Instead, they use a set of strategies that keep the truth buried. They issue vague statements about lawful operations. They blame the victim, saying the person failed to cooperate. They settle lawsuits with confidential agreements. They hide behind bureaucratic language. They refuse to release complete data on wrongful detentions. And when things get messy, they point fingers at other agencies. This isn't transparency. This is fog, a deliberate clouding of the truth. And in that fog, rights disappear. Here's the hard part. Even with all the evidence, many Americans still don't believe it. Why? Because it's easier not to. It's easier to believe federal agents don't make mistakes. It's easier to believe it only happens to other people. It's easier to believe that the system works even when it doesn't. Some people don't see it because the media doesn't cover every incident. Some don't see it because they trust authority without question. Some don't see it because racial bias tells them if someone got stopped, they must have done something wrong. And some people don't see it because seeing it would force them to confront the terrifying truth. If it can happen to them, it can happen to anyone. So what does it take to actually see the truth? It takes listening, especially to the communities most affected. It takes reading lawsuits, not just headlines. It takes following local journalism, where these stories often break first. It takes understanding your rights so that you know when they have been violated. It takes connecting the dots, recognizing patterns instead of dismissing incidents as isolated. It takes questioning official narratives, not blindly accepting them. And it takes courage, because seeing the truth means accepting that the system is not as fair, as clean, or as lawful as we thought, and not even as we were taught. Seeing the truth is not comfortable, but it is necessary. Staying blind doesn't protect you. It protects the system that harms people. Blindness enables abuse. Blindness erodes democracy. Blindness divides communities. Blindness creates vulnerability. Blindness destroys solidarity. Blindness allows history to repeat itself. When we refuse to see what is happening, we give agencies like ICE permission to keep doing it. We give them permission to expand their power. We give them permission to operate without oversight. And once a government agency learns that it can violate rights without consequences, it doesn't stop, it grows. Staying blind is not safety, it is surrender. But here's the good news. Awareness is power. Knowledge is power. Community is power. We can educate ourselves and others, support organizations that hold ICE accountable, demand transparency from local and federal officials, know our rights and teach them to our families, document encounters, share stories, stand with communities targeted by enforcement. And most importantly, we can refuse to look away. Because the moment we stop looking is the moment the system wins. ICE's wrongful treatment of U.S. citizens is not a rumor. It is not a myth. It is not a partisan talking point. It is a reality, one that becomes clearer every time someone speaks up, every time a lawsuit is filed, every time a community refuses to be silent. Seeing the truth is the first step. Speaking the truth is the second, and acting on the truth is the third. And together, we can do all three. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. And thank you for choosing to see, even when the system hopes that you won't. Have a blessed night, everybody.